Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined by Dwaine Murray, an attorney with OlsenDaines. Dwaine, thanks so much for coming in.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so we're here to talk about student debt. It's certainly been something we've been hearing a lot about in the news of late. Tell us, why isn't it just now becoming an issue?
Well, I think it's been creeping up on us for some time. It's because of the size of the loans that have grown and grown. They are now on a par with home mortgage loans and such a big debt that I think people, particularly young people, find themselves incapable of attacking them and really dealing with them in an efficient way. So there are so many people involved, so much debt. We used to see maybe $30,000, $40,000 worth of debt. It's not uncommon now to see over $100,000. We've seen over $200,000 in student loan debt. And unless you're going to have a job, a reasonable shot at a job that's going to be able to handle that kind of debt, it doesn't make good sense. So I think that rising tide, if you will, is starting to affect more and more people. As you may know, it's not dischargeable in bankruptcy. That's principally what our law firm does. So we're continually having to explain that to our clients that student loans are not going to be dischargeable. They are in a couple of very narrow categories, but generally you're stuck with those loans for a long time.
So yeah, let me follow up with you on one of the things you just said. So unless you are certain to acquire a very high-paying job, going to college, incurring student loan debt may not be something you want to go into. Is that right?
And I wouldn't limit it to high, but just so it's relatively good enough to take care of it. Because you can have if you have $100,000 debt and you're making $40,000 or $50,000 a year, it's going to take forever to pay that off. If you have $25,000 worth of debt and you're going to have a $40,000, $50,000 job, then that probably makes good sense. And, that's not. So it's kind of relative.
Sure. Okay.
There are a couple of programs that have come into effect over the last few years to try to deal with it, but they're fairly narrow. One is the income-based repayment plan, and that's based on the size of the family, the annual income, and of course the amount of the debt. It allows some freedom because if you qualify, and I'm not going to say how many qualify because I don't really know, but if you meet the qualifications, then you make a payment for a 25-year period. If there's some left over, then that's forgiven. And that repayment plan payment is based on the size of your family, your annual income, and of course the size of the loan. So it can reduce it substantially, or sometimes in the extreme altogether. There are internet sites that can tell people about that sort of thing.
Okay, all right. And do you happen to know any of them offhand? Hate to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't off the top of my head.
Okay, no, that's okay. All right, so let me think. Now, when it comes to advising students and parents of students as they're going towards college, what do you have to say to them about avoiding or managing student loan debt?
Generally, kind of what I've just said, but as most people probably know, parents and grandparents get involved in these loans because they're co-signers. And some loan plans will require that. Will require at least the parents to be a signatory, so that if the student is unable to acquire a job that's going to pay those payments and the interest, then the parents are on the hook. And again, it's not dischargeable for them either in a bankruptcy. So the key thing is to use common sense, to go in, make sure as best you can when you're a young student that this is the direction you want to go. But be prudent in the balances, the trade-offs between the costs and what you're likely to get in return.
Yeah, big decision. Don't go in uncertain.
Correct.
Dwaine, pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.